Monday night, 20th of May, 9:40. We've got 3 more days before the full moon. Not sure if the camera will show much. Yeah, well, actually it is. Moon's to the south, about an hour or so from culmination. There's our view, a little overexposed, because the camera is set up for viewing the TFT monitor screen. I plan on reviewing the Galaxies. I've already reviewed for the, I believe it was the 7th and 8th day full moon cycle. The sky was beautiful today. So there's a chance, because the moon's so distant from Coma Berenices, probably by about 40 degrees, that we'll get just as good of views tonight as we've gotten previously, but I have to remind you, we lost 2.5 magnitudes due to the proximity of the moon, and I don't expect to see much better than that, but it's just an interesting experiment anyway. Okay, I've just synchronized the scope on Detabola. I'm going to do a little bit of focusing here. I'm almost definitely determined that the temperature in the scope affects the focus significantly, because I've locked it down in the past and I constantly have to refocus every outing. Let's go to our standard settings of 128 flood. Okay. Kind of hard to see where the highlighting is. Return, go up, exit, and save. Okay. Roughly the position that the Galaxy should turn up in this evening. Let's begin with, looking at my list, I think it's NGC 4136. I'm going to keep kind of a short list tonight. We don't have to go exploring too much. We just want to compare with other views. NGC 4136, off and running, and camera will be off. NGC 4136 is barely visible on the screen. It's a fairly large, faint, well spread out luminosity galaxy. I can see it on the handset, but I can't see it so well on the screen because the angle's off. Galaxy in Coma Berenices, magnitude 11, 3.9 by 3.6 arc, minutes in size, spiral with a bar, the lowercase c in a ring. It's a C, which means it could be fairly dispersed, and it certainly appears that way on the screen. So tonight we're going to be staying in Coma Berenices. I'm going to try to discipline myself to that, maybe pick up maybe 10 or 12 studies. This galaxy is located 26 million light years distant. It's almost at 30 degrees in declination and 12 degrees, 9 minutes and 17 seconds in right ascension. It's almost overhead, and I would say, using a fist method of determining distance, it's about 40 to 45 degrees away from the 10 or 11 day moon. There's our view. The next galaxy in our series for this evening is NGC 4150 in Coma Berenices, magnitude 11.6, smaller, 2.3 by 1.6 arc minutes, with more condensed light. It's a lenticular spiral, 45 million light years distant, not too far away from the last one, about half a degree. We're at declination 30, 2406. Scope didn't move much. Excuse me. One of the things we should be noting tonight is whether or not, because the moon is more distant, though more bright, because it got within 15 degrees on day 8, whether or not these galaxies, when compared to screenshots from previous imagery, will be fairly comparable in their presentation on the screen. So that's really the key to trying to get a sense of how moonwash affects galactic presentation using the Rev2 system on the 6-inch ED scope. Just doing a little finger counting, and I believe this is actually the 11th-day moon. The full moon will be something like Thursday morning at 6:30 or so. So yeah, we just had, I believe that, because of the trail, was probably a meteor passage. Not a bad view. We're seeing quite a bit of the aura around the core region of NGC 4203. Galaxy Coma Berenices, magnitude 10.9, fairly large, 3.5 by 3.2 arc-minute spiral of the lenticular class with a bar, and I thought I was seeing some nebulosity extending from the core earlier. Galaxy is 50 million light years distant. Further north, plus 33 degrees. The scope's about 10 degrees shy of being perfectly on the zenith, and we've just passed the central meridian by maybe 3 or 4 degrees. So these are the galaxies in Coma Berenices group are actually in pretty good sky position. It's just unfortunate that we have the moon wash, because you will never achieve sky dark when there's anything more than a 3-day moon. But that's the conditions. The sky is beautiful, other than the moon wash, and let's move on. Our next study is NGC 4245. It's a galaxy, once again, Coma Berenices, slightly fainter, magnitude 11.4, about the same size, 3.3 by 2.4 arc-minute football aspect galaxy, spiral with a bar, lowercase a, but also a lenticular with a ring, 34 million light years distant. We're about a couple degrees further south than our last study, which I believe was 4203. Confirming that with my sheet here. So this view looks like it does have some bit of an extended nebulosity outside the core region, which should be bar-shaped. So there's our view of NGC 4245. Here we have NGC 4251, another galaxy in Coma Berenices. You'll be hearing that a lot this evening. Excuse me, magnitude 10.7, about as large as the previous ones, 3.6 by 2.5 arc-minute football-shaped galaxy, or supraoblate, depending on how you like to look at it. Spiral with a bar, lenticular class, and a ring at 44 million light years distant. However, this particular galaxy, as I have noticed in the past, looks more edgy on. You can see extensions going to the 12 and to the 6 o'clock position. So it's 12:30 or 6 o'clock, depending upon how you like to read the hands on this particular clock. NGC 4274, another galaxy, where? In Coma Berenices, Queen Berenices coiffure. Brightest galaxy so far, but also quite large. Magnitude 10.4, 6.8 by 2.4 arc-minutes, which means it's got about a 3-to-1 aspect ratio, maybe a little less than that. Spiral with a bar, and a lowercase ab with a ring, 43 million light years distant. Does appear to be some extensional nebulosity going off this galaxy. I would say, despite the fact the moon's in day 11, which has progressed 3 days even brighter than the last viewing occasion, that because it is much further to the south and to the east by, like I said, 40 degrees, we are getting as good of views as we've gotten on those previous 2 occasions. So that's encouraging. This particular galaxy has a very intense core. Most of its light is in that magnitude, probably about magnitude 11 in that core. NGC 4278, Coma Berenices galaxy, magnitude 10.2, 4 by 3.9 arc minutes, and it's understandable. This is an elliptical class galaxy, probably an E0 or an E1, 41 million light years distant. I've already given some commentary on the distances of these various galaxies, but this is a fairly small, I'd say about 35,000 light years in diameter ellipticals, and many ellipticals can be very small. Most of us astronomers think of them as just being huge globular clusters, because most of their star-forming material has been converted into stars, and most of those stars are very long-lived stars in the K and M classes, which are low mass, low frequency stars of visible light. But here's a pretty decent view. Many, many stars that will last for billions, if not trillions of years. And these babies are just quietly radiating away their light, and in their combined efforts present us with something as brilliant as NGC 4278. As it turned out, NGC 4278 had a neighbor within, I would say, no more than 3 or 4 arc minutes. It's that fainter galaxy that we're now seeing in the position of 4278. Magnitude 12.1, so basically about 2 magnitudes fainter, but much smaller, 1.4 by 1.4 arc minute elliptical, mere 47 million light years distance. So this is a dwarf galaxy. I do believe there's a third galaxy somewhere on the screen, maybe that one. I'll have to look for it later, although that could be rather stellar. But there is, I believe, a third galaxy somewhere on this screen, and I believe it's somewhere around magnitude 14. NGC 4283 and its brighter neighbor are basically about 29 degrees of northern declination, well placed in the sky's middle third. More than, as I mentioned earlier, 40 degrees from an 11-day moon. NGC 4314 is formulating on the screen as I speak. Galaxy, of course, in Coma Berenices. Magnitude 10.6, 3.9 by 3.7 arc minutes. So pretty much face on, spiral with a bar, lowercase a. 39 million light years distant, puts this at probably somewhere around 50,000, 40,000 light years in diameter. We're at almost plus 30 degrees. Right ascension 12, 22, 32. Hut, hut, hut. I'll let that format in the screen because it's a pretty decent view, and skip to our next study, if indeed it is in Coma. It will be, wherever it's located, our last study of the evening, except there was that 14th magnitude galaxy in Virgo that I may want to track down. NGC 4414 is a galaxy in Coma Berenices, magnitude 10.1, so probably the brightest one of the evening. A little more condensed, 3.6 by 2 arc-minute spiral of the lowercase c class. 39 million light years distant, puts it once again about 30 to 35,000 light years in diameter. We are at plus 31 degrees, 13 minutes, 22 seconds. Light ascension 12, 26, 27. So I am going to go ahead and see if I can track down that 13.9 magnitude galaxy that I've been using. I do believe it's in Virgo. We do want to have a look at it so we can get a decent comparison of the various night skies for galactic depth. This will be our Carpe Noctem view of the evening. Somewhere on this screen should appear within the next 30 seconds a 13.9 magnitude 0.9 by 0.7 arc-minute spiral with a bar of the lenticular class with the ring. The most distant galaxy we've looked at this evening, 326 million light years distant, puts it at about the size of our own Milky Way or slightly larger. This is NGC 4447. It's a galaxy, and it is in Coma Berenices, so very nice. I managed to actually stay within the confines of her trusses. Galaxy, however, is further south. It's almost a little shy of 14 degrees in declination and a little shy of the halfway through the 12th hour of right ascension. So with this view, I'm going to allow it to develop a little bit because I do believe I gave it an opportunity in previous videos. So let's see if we get any development, because this should be fairly definitive. Although I have to say, subjectively, I thought the views this evening, despite the more mature moon in the second quarter, but because the moon is further away and the sky was pretty clear today, has given comparable views to what we have seen in the 7th and 8th day lunar cycles. And I believe our little galaxy is right at the tip of my finger. And with that, I am going to say Carpe Noctem.